It's time for a panel discussion. Dr. D D Kale as our moderator. Participants are Mihir Parekh, Chandramohan Gupta, Bipin Odhekar, and Manohar Kumar.
Let me start with youngest one, Mihir Parekh. I hope you are the youngest one. If a product is made from virgin polymer and you want to use some recycled material, how much time it may take? I'll put all the things together. One can start replacing virgin material, maybe first 2% to 5%, and then change to a higher percentage because recycled material will affect the strength, aesthetic views, and so on and so forth. Efforts to study the changes that you make by systematic change of recycled material will take some time. So what I would like to do is, all these things will require this time, or alternative, you can have a different machine which can be considered, which can use the recycled material because existing machine may or may not take the recycled material because the rheology changes. Okay. So if you see this, how the industry like yours, which are producing the materials, would look at it both ways, either changing the machinery or slowly replacing this so that material properties are not lost.
So, adding or introducing recycled material to these products is definitely possible. Products where structural integrity is very important, for example, certain crates and pallets, there maybe the degree to which you can do it or whether you can do it at all is limited. But there are many products where you can introduce a certain percentage without harming the structure of the product. In some cases, even the aesthetics won't get changed. So those are changes that can be made almost immediately. There the challenge is mainly being able to source clean recycled material, which is where you need help of some polymer producers to get that clean material. In terms of changing machinery, so as was mentioned earlier, some products have now very thin product walls. So there adding recycled material becomes a challenge because again the flexibility you have is very low. So a solution is to then create molds and designs where again you go back to high thickness walls. Introducing recycled material can be almost immediate. If you have to change a mold, that takes somewhere around 8 months to just design and get a mold produced, and also high capex.
Yeah.
So there the economics also plays a role, and putting up a circular economy in place to even source this material might take even longer than 8 to 10 months.
The earlier recycling was to save the cost. Yeah. Now it is the other way around. Recycling is not saving the cost. It is the rule. So whether it's costing you more money or so, still you have to do it. So that emphasis is changing.
So I think recycling can still save the cost. Sustainability can be done in a profitable manner, and companies I think are happy to do it, but the overall perception of recycled material being put in products needs to change, that it's not an inferior product, in fact it is a superior product, and we've seen that being done in the West really well. I think it needs to come here. Yeah. And maybe even standards need to change. Maybe there can be certain standards for products which are having recycled material versus virgin products, because recycled material may not, in some cases may not be able to meet those standards. In some cases even recycled material is still able to meet BIFMA standards.
Now I'll go to the very powerful speaker, Chandramohan Gupta. We have been sitting on a number of committees together. So brand owners produce the products based upon consumer satisfaction, right? How do the brand owners look at the change of product supply chain on their own, number one? How much time does it take to change design? For example, the cap of PET bottle to be changed to PET itself, or the label to go to PET. What type of issues related to such changes will come because of validation, then market survey, etc. Your product is recycled by anybody. Do you see any such thought that plastic bottles will also come back to you only and not to anywhere else, like, put some kind of a mark or something? Else, as we always say, today it is carry bags are getting eliminated from the eyesore, but now that is being replaced by the small bottles of PET. And it should not happen that tomorrow everybody starts saying plastic bottles need to be removed like carry bags. So with all these views, what will you say on these issues?
First of all, I would like to answer the second part of your question, which is what happens if you want every bottle to come back to you. So in several countries, we have a PET container called RefPET. It's called returnable PET. So for example, a 2-liter bottle of Coke today weighs, the packaging weighs about 50 grams, 45 to 50 grams. A RefPET bottle will weigh 300 grams. And it will go the way a glass bottle moves in the system, the bolt-on reverse supply chain, almost 20 to 22 times before it is discarded. And it goes into grinding, repolymerization, and back into the bottle chain. So these systems exist. All our, at least for the Coca-Cola system I can talk about in India, all the lines that we have installed, the PET lines that we have installed in the last 3 to 4 years, which would be about maybe 12 or 14 odd lines, we have inbuilt this capacity to handle high grammage preforms. So these lines have the capability to produce returnable PET bottles, and we already have a supply chain system which brings glass back. The same supply chain system will bring the RefPET back. It is operated very efficiently in some parts of the world,
yes.
And is pretty effective.
I'll just interrupt 1 minute. Was it done on their own desire of the Coca-Cola or company like yours, or was it government pressure that we should start thinking about?
It was sheer economics.
Okay.
So when PET started coming into the packaging system, it was an expensive packaging system in comparison to a very well-developed glass system. So for example, when I joined the Coca-Cola company way back in 2001, 95% of the portfolio in a market like UP used to be glass. So if you bring in a returnable PET at that situation, it moves very smoothly. But now what has happened is glass has gone down to 30%, 70% has moved to PET. So introducing a returnable container is that much more challenging, but the capability exists. It is a switch that we need to put on.
Yeah.
So it's a short period is what I can tell you.
The reason why I broached up the issue is that PET is not used only for Coca-Cola, but now you know that it is there for the other liquor, pharmaceutical products. So if the concept can be utilized for this, how much it will mean to the other usages? Because then PET producer as well as PET converters, all of them should come together. And is there any system of this kind which can be set up in country like India?
So the ideal system is everybody will have to move to standard package size and standard shapes. And that is already existing in beer industry. So a Kingfisher bottle will go and probably get picked up, it will move in the industry. And the reality is today that the market return glass that the beer industry uses, almost 65% is coming from the market, which is brand agnostic, and the 35% is virgin glass. So these systems exist, but it will have to kind of bring in the collective intelligence of the producing ecosystem with clear objective that this is pre-competitive space. The problem is today design, aesthetics, looks, feel is part of competition. So the rules of the game will have to change. Is the industry prepared?
That's one of the things that, are we geared for that? That's why I gave this theme.
So as far as the engineering and the supply chain is concerned, we have enough and more examples in the market. Coming back to your first question, which is how long it will take to make changes, for us it is a switch, short time. Today, once the bottles are collected, aggregated, compressed, they put a raffia bag down, they put a raffia bag on top to ensure that the bottles don't fall apart. They put a metal strap. Once this whole mix of package reaches the recycler, the metal is separated, the raffia bag is separated, the labels are separated. So once it comes into the industrial chain, that is not a challenge. The challenge is the collection. The major challenge is not having too many complex designs. So today in the current shape, we are ready to go You press the button, it will start.
Three-layered structure where middle layer can be recycled material. To shift such from single material, single uniform plastic to three-layered structure may require new machinery or validation of such products procedure. What time frame you think it might take with the existing systems? Also, what other factors may need to be considered? Also, next another question was based upon MCI. That is very easy to say 0 to 1, but the efforts to go from 0 to 0.1, 0.1 to 0.3 to 0.8, 0.9 and 0.1, I mean eventually 1. What kind of efforts or time frame you will say that going from 0.5 to 0.7, 0.7 to 0.9, 0.9 to 1?
Problem which can come is that, for example, Saffola, take case of Saffola. Saffola jar is of certain color and shade. When you are taking a recycled material, the sanctity of matching that color shade would also be a question mark, and it will take certain trials. Whatever the material you are getting from the market, at least to certain extent, it should match the color. That could be the second challenge. I feel that it is possible to overcome that challenge, but as of now, that could still remain a challenge for the recycling industry till the time it matures to that level.
Right.
Third challenge would be most of the machines which are doing this blow molding operation are designed for a single layer. So they have to convert to a multi-layer machines. So it is not a costly thing, but it will attract certain economics which has to be worked out. So these are the three challenges which are manageable still, until unless we get a clarity of the first one. In urban areas, the distribution is possible to take it back through the big chains like Big Bazaar and all these things, where you actually do a tie-up with them and saying that these are the areas where you can actually open up a buyback offer and all these things. Even in urban areas, like I'll just give an example of one of the companies, Banyan Nation. I think people would have heard their name. So I just had a discussion with them where they have an tie-up with almost 1,500 aggregators working in the waste management space. So they are saying that it is possible, if you can give me a sale of your product in a particular area, then it is possible that if I have a good network in that area, I can tell them that these many bottles are required for a particular product, and that can come to me and I can recycle it. So it can be prototyped in a certain particular location where the population density is better and you have clarity about your sales. So those things are practically possible.
Yeah, what it means that you need to set up that kind of an agency. So it will involve some cost. Yeah. So is there any effort being made that such costs
we are doing one project.
Okay.
We are doing one project on this case where we are actually working on one of our product that whether we can actually take them back.
Yeah.
So the challenge what we faced is that now there's a possibility to a certain extent you can still collect it, but the current recycling machines, when you're recycling these products, have this odor which is coming in. So until another technical challenge is avoided, so what we are looking at as of now is that wherever there is a possible that this odor is not playing a role in those products, we are going to use it. For others, we'll still collect it back, and can it be used for any other purpose like pallets and all this?
Last speakers of this particular session, Mr. Manohar Kumar, who is technically very sound, and production of BOPP or BOPP, PP, CPP films, as well as other specialty films, the functionality polymer film is most important parameter. It is not easy to change the structure of films just like that. What are the areas in specialty films where you think resource efficiency can be considered? It may or may not have been practiced, but it can be practiced. What are the steps and time frame, and of course the investments which will be needed to consider such kind of change? And the converting industry and food product supplier need to work together, because you are producing the film. Finally, it is being used by somebody else to give either biscuits or wafers or something. So unless both the sectors come together, this cannot happen. And one has to see what is the recyclability, what is the shelf life, and all those pictures will come into picture. So if we see this, how these two groups can work together and start looking at converting the multi-layered or multi-polymeric films into single plastic family. Can you throw some light on this?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of your first question was resource efficiency. So if you look at BOPP or polyester or any film for that matter, it started with a slow line. Line speed used to be around 120, 130 in that range. So now, and width of the line used to be around 4 meters. Now it is 10.4 meters and the speeds are 560 meters. So from one particular line, capacities used to be around 3,000 tons per annum. Now it is around 40, 50,000 tons per annum. That is the jump or leap which we have taken in the last few years. And in terms of efficiency also, there is an improvement of 20-30% kind of efficiency improvement. And we are also mapping the energy conservation and water conservation, which is being used for film manufacturing. It is continuously declining. So resource optimization is happening within the industry, but yes, once it ends up at consumer level, there was a lot of wastage and nobody had worked on that particular area. So what we have done right now is we are directly working with brands like most of the FMCG brands. And just to give one small example, earlier shampoo sachets, 1 rupee pack, that is 1 rupee pack. Okay, in 1 rupee pack, it is not possible to increase the price. 1 rupee is 1 rupee, you can't increase it to 1 rupee 10 paisa because the tendering will be very difficult. So we have, and multiple layers were being used. Now we have offered solutions with single polymer kind of structure. And initial tests were done at consumers' end, at brands' end. There were difficulties in the machines which were using these films for packaging and all. But ultimately everything is set. Probably this year, 10, 20, 30% of the whole shampoo segment will get converted to into single polymer structures.
For 1 or 2 persons who would like to give their share views or something. Yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gupta. From the technology point of view, I can say that for the recyclable, all the technologies are available. Only the major bottleneck is the proper collection, which rightly Mr. Gupta from Coca-Cola has set up. So I don't see any much improvement in the ground level in the consumer end where this plastic is being used and then that is segregated. So this is the real challenge which the industry is facing right now, according to me.
The question that I would like to ask you, or I would like to make my comments, I cannot ask you any questions. When we say what is the arrangement being made, question will come, what is the solution you have in mind? See, we know that today ULBs are not collecting anything. There is a big litter around. For your information, whatever comes to my home, more than 65 to 70%, 80% material somehow gets collected, segregated and recycled. It is a thing which is lying on the road, which doesn't get collected. Although it is supposed to be collected, doesn't get collected for several reasons. I don't see any solution coming from anybody. Everybody says, what to do with that? Why this is not being done? What is the solution? Now questioning does not help government. Now I see both the sides, government side as well as industry side. And that is the reason I am saying that if we say the government and their agents that you are not doing any job, nobody listens to you. He has experienced that in Mantralaya, that I'll tell you, these politicians, you may not have faced them in that way, they will simply ask you the question, you talk like that, what were you doing 50 years ago? There was no plastic pollution, go back to that area. And you have no answer to those kind of arguments. So please, what I would suggest is that, when I say you, does not mean individually you, please listen to me. What I say collectively, we should put our brainstorming and say that this is the way we can help this particular situation, this is the way it can be done, it will cost. And this cost can come through EPR or CSR, there are ways of doing it. But presently, even those costs have not been estimated. Those have not, there are no models, because see, let me tell you, the moment your recycling is being used, today it is available at 10 rupees, the moment they see there is a money, it will go to 20 rupees or 30 rupees. So all that we say 20% recycle will come back to 10%. So all these things need to be considered together, and industry will have to have that kind of a solution. They must have that program that, okay, I'll calculate this, I'll calculate this, I'll calculate this, I'll estimate this. These are my overall plan, for which they need the help from all other corners, and that is the reason